Find out what's going on. Get involved. Change things from the inside. Make a difference. Take pride. Multicultural at its best. The Luisa Marshall Show. Coming up.
All new Simply the Best. Making awareness. Celebrating SHER Vancouver 10th year anniversary and the LGBTQ South Asian community. An inspiring story of a South Asian social worker and founder of SHER Vancouver. Alex shared his passion to help others in the LGBTQ community and founded a safe platform for all those struggling and being shunned by their own communities. Its mission is to empower individuals from all walks of life to stand up, have the courage to come out, to have a better life.
Every gay child is afraid of rejection from people they love.
SHER Vancouver suffered a great loss when their good friend and social coordinator, January Marie Lapus, was stabbed to death in her home in 2012.
She was the mother of our group. She was the social glue of our group. People loved her.
Alex shares some of the most intimate details of his coming out story, his adopted son from India, his inspiration, and much more. All these coming up.
Do you know why? Because we want him to do it nicer.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm so happy and excited to share with you all a powerful story to remind all of us about compassion, courage, hope, and acceptance. We are proud to be a part of SHER Vancouver's 10th year anniversary celebration held at the Bollywood Banquet Hall in Surrey. Here's part one of our special interview with the brave and inspiring Alex Sanga. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Luisa.
Oh, thank you for honoring us with your presence. Let's talk about SHER.
Sure.
SHER Vancouver. You're the founder of SHER Vancouver. And recently you celebrated your 10-year anniversary.
And you performed there, Luisa, and you rocked the house down. Thank you very much with your Tina Turner tribute. It was amazing. We're still getting feedback from that performance.
Aww.
And you know, it was a wonderful 10 years. Our allies, our supporters, our friends from the last decade were there. My mother did a fabulous speech. I did my coming out speech. My son was there as the MC. And it was wonderful to see so much diversity and acceptance and love and welcoming and joy in one room.
Him to do it nicer.
I look at it as very historical, especially in the South Asian community. So tell me, how's the community of Surrey welcoming the idea of SHER Vancouver?
It's really progressed. It was an LGBTQ Sikh group, and at that time people were saying there's no such thing as gay Sikhs, we will not support a gay Sikh group, and then we strategically opened it up to LGBTQ South Asians and friends. We didn't want to get into battles over religion or faith or anything like that. We just wanted to provide support to people who were alienated, isolated, at risk, suicidal, depressed. So we took that approach and we started to reach out, and we've grown to over 650 members, and many partners and organizations have joined us and supported us, and we're making inroads in the community.
You have done so many programs and services for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So what is the most challenging thing that SHER Vancouver has to overcome?
Number one, our social coordinator, January Marie Lapou. She was a Filipina transgender woman. She was murdered in her own home. She was the mother of our group. She was the social glue of our group. People loved her. She was just an amazing personality. And after she passed, the group just kind of went into mourning. It wasn't the same. We just didn't want to celebrate and do things. We just wanted to, take a break. But we wanted to create a legacy for her, so we created a scholarship in her name, the January Marie Lepeau's Youth Leadership Award. It's our 3rd year that we've given it out. And we also are in the works of developing a documentary about January's life and trans women of color. And we hired 2 students from Kwantlen, 2 journalism students from Kwantlen Polytechnic University to direct the film. They're both women of color, and that was the hardest thing for us because, you know, the tragic circumstances of how she was murdered was so, you know, when something happens that is so close to you, it really kind of shakes you up and scares you, you know, and then you realize, you know what, even in Canada, no one is really that safe. We are vulnerable as minorities. We are vulnerable as visible minorities, as sexual minorities, and in this case, gender minorities. And it just goes back to the violence against women, against trans women, against people of color, and how careful we have to be in our communities. So that was the toughest for us.
How did you overcome this obstacle?
You know, I still haven't overcome it. Sometimes I see her picture or I see her video, and I feel sad, I feel crying, but I feel like she's our angel in heaven, and she's guiding us, she's watching over us, she's supporting us. I feel she's with her all the time, and I feel she's here today, you know, and I feel one day we will see her again in the spiritual world. She was fabulous. She was just, you know, sometimes people would think she was just too much. I mean, she would say, "Hi, my name is January. I know it's a cold month, but I make it hot." You know, she was just so, you know, just bigger than life, and she had a tough life. She was, you know, she was adopted. She was an immigrant. She was a person of color. She was raised in poverty. It was hard for her to get a job because a lot of times when she was transitioning on the job, people didn't feel comfortable. She would get fired. So there was discrimination against her in here. There was a number of times she lost a job because she was transitioning.
Wow, let me get this straight. So she was already in Canada when she made that transition.
Yes. Yeah, so she was transitioning to become a woman, and yeah, so it was really tough for her. She faced a lot of oppression and discrimination. It was really hard for her to get the support she needed. So that's why SHER Vancouver was, you know, was like her family. Our co-founder, Ash Brar, he is Indo-Canadian East Indian, but he was born in the Philippines in Manila, and he spoke Tagalog. And so this is how he became friends with January, and because they were close friends, January wanted to join our group, even though she was a Filipino woman. And so by January joining our group, we opened it to South Asians and friends. So she actually opened the door to anyone who wanted support in SHER Vancouver. Even though 80% of our members are still South Asian, we welcomed everyone else. And today we have a Jewish person on our board and a Latino person on our board. And so that's a legacy of January, actually. And because a lot of people are in interracial relationships, you know, so why not include them? Why not include them in our group, right? Everyone is a human being. We all need to support each other. The other good thing about January was she was really good at being a facilitator and solving problems and conflict between people. She understood people and she could relate to people, and she would just crack a joke and everyone would just be friends again. You know, it was really great.
She's the peacemaker.
Yeah, she's the peacemaker.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm just hoping that she's in a safe space now. She's with God, she's in heaven, and no one can hurt her anymore.
Has justice been served?
Well, the guy who murdered her only served, I think, 5 years in prison. So I really don't think it was fair, and I really don't think it was just. He was a young guy, and he basically murdered someone, and that's what a life is worth. A transgender woman, a person of color, Filipina, you know, 5 years and you're out of prison. I think it was 5 or 6 years. It was very sad.
celebration coming up. Don't go away. On the show, Alex talks about SHER Vancouver suffering a great loss when their good friend and social coordinator, January Marie Lapus, was stabbed to death in her home in 2012. I met January during Alex's birthday celebration. Her death brought grief, shock, and disappointment in the justice system. But first, here's a special video of the story of SHER Vancouver.
The story of SHER Vancouver, celebrating 10 years. SHER means lion in many South Asian languages. Lion, a symbol of courage and bravery, is an appropriate name to represent an organization that has truly grown to become a voice for the rights of LGBTQ South Asians. SHER Vancouver is a social, cultural, and support nonprofit organization which has made creating safe spaces its mission and vision. It all started in April 6, 2008, when Alex Sangha founded SHER as an online support Yahoo group for gay Sikhs. As a pioneer addressing a very taboo subject and representing gay Sikhs, Alex Sangha was featured on the cover of the Asian Outlook magazine, which called SHER Vancouver a daring move. In 2008, SHER Vancouver made history as the first Sikh float to ever participate in the Vancouver Pride Parade with its Pride of Bollywood entry. Graphic designer and women's coordinator Jag Nagra designed the first SHER logo, a pink lion head. In October 2008, SHER became affiliated with the Progressive Intercultural Community Services (PICS) Society with the support of CEO Charan Gill. SHER Vancouver's efforts in its maiden year was appreciated and widely covered in the mainstream media outlets, helping spread its message. The group slowly became an umbrella organization for all LGBTQ South Asians, their families, and friends. In 2009, Ash Brar, SHER Vancouver's acting moderator, was profiled in an extra article about the next generation of leaders. In April 2009, a landmark project called Dosti, meaning friendship, was launched in schools to combat bullying, racism, homophobia, and transphobia. In July 23, 2009, SHER Vancouver hosted its very first Bang Bang Bollywood at Celebrities Nightclub in Vancouver with over 400 people in attendance. In August 2011, Vancouver Pride Society honored SHER's float with the Brightest Rainbow Award at the Pride Parade. The 2012 edition of Bang Bang Bollywood was a roaring success, held at Status Nightclub in New Westminster, hosted by January Marie Lapus. September 30th, 2012 was a dark day in the history of SHER Vancouver. Tragedy struck as SHER member January Marie Lapus was murdered in her own home. A part of SHER Vancouver since 2009, she was SHER's first transgender executive member. She is still fondly remembered as a jovial person full of energy and an irreplaceable part of the organization. In memory of her life and contributions, SHER Vancouver commissioned a documentary film, My Name Was January, highlighting the issues faced by transgender people of color. SHER Vancouver was honored as the Organization of the Year by New West Pride, recognizing the efforts and establishing January Marie Lapus Youth Leadership Award. One of the very successful projects undertaken by SHER is the Out and Proud project, aiming to profile amazing queer South Asians from around the world, showcasing the strength and diversity of the queer South Asian global community. The Out and Proud project was inspirational for many. In 2016, SHER founder Alex Sangha made history as the first Sikh Grand Marshal of the Vancouver Pride Parade. Another milestone in 2016 was a campaign run by SHER to bring financial support for a young gay immigrant student from India that managed to crowdfund over $13,000. In March 2017, SHER Vancouver became the first ever LGBTQ organization to be part of the Vancouver Visaki Parade. To mark this significant breakthrough, 18 SHER members, along with family and friends, marched to show support. Last year, SHER Vancouver was well represented at the Vancouver Pride Parade with a colorful Bollywood-themed float with live DJ and dancing members. Pictures and videos of Canada's Minister of Defence, the Honourable Harjit Sajjan, dancing atop the SHER Vancouver float went viral and made news waves all over the world. For continuing his efforts and positive influence in educating the community on issues faced by LGBTQ South Asians, founder Alex Sangha has received many awards and recognitions. Most notably, he was honored with the coveted Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal from his Member of Parliament at the time, Ginny Sims. SHER Vancouver continues its work to educate and bring about more acceptance and cross-cultural understanding surrounding the LGBTQ community. As we celebrate the 10th anniversary of a fabulous organization, let us meet a few key people that have worked hard to provide support and create safe spaces for vulnerable sections in our community. President Ash Brar, Vice President Kamal Bangu, Director Alvaro Garcia, SHER Youth Group Facilitator Shakti Gujaratni, Graphic Design and Web Design Jag Nagra, Director Josh Soren, former Social Coordinator Parveen Katerina, Founder and current Secretary and Treasurer Alex Sangha. SHER Vancouver, strength and diversity.
Your coming out issue,
Yeah.
how tough was that?
It was really tough because, back in 1990 when I graduated from high school, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was no way for me to communicate with any other gay people. And I felt like grew up in Newton, Surrey Newton, which is a very kind of, at that time, was a racially tense neighborhood between East Indian people, Indo-Canadians, and the Caucasian. There was a kind of a racially tense, the demographic was shifting. And I felt I was gonna shame and embarrass my family if I came out as gay. I thought there was something wrong with me. I actually secretly went to see an adolescent psychiatrist to become straight. And if I didn't have access to the psychiatrist, I would have had no one to talk to. I probably would have killed myself. And so things are improving, things are getting better now, but it's still very hard to be South Asian and brown and gay. It's very difficult. And I'm sure in other cultures, in the Filipino culture, it's the same. Because your families have expectations for you to get married and have children and to carry on the family name and do all these things which are not guaranteed for a gay person. Right?
How about religion?
Religion also, our religion actually, Sikhism doesn't say anything bad about gay and lesbian people, but the culture is very much homophobic, I would think. The culture is very much homophobic and transphobic, and it's hard to change the culture.
You were 4 years old when you first came here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were only 4 years old. When you were younger, did you know that you were gay?
Well, I used to dress up in girls' clothes and put on makeup and play in the dolls' houses. So I don't know if I was gay, but I was definitely not the typical boy.
Didn't know what gay was.
I
when
wasn't
you
the
were-
typical boy, right?
Yeah.
That's for sure. So I
Yeah.
mean, I used to get excited playing with, dolls and, stealing my mom's makeup and wearing saris. So definitely, my mom didn't know what was going on. She just thought I was a colorful person. She just let me do what I wanted. But I started to feel kind of depressed about myself when I was in adolescence and I started to find boys attractive. Like people in my class and stuff, and then I felt there's something wrong with me. I feel like I was doing something wrong, and I thought that I was, some kind of sick person. And I didn't know what homosexuality really was. No one taught it to me. It wasn't taught in schools. They didn't do any education around being gay or bisexual or lesbian or trans or anything. There was no knowledge. So I had no way of knowing what was happening to me was normal or abnormal. I just assumed it was abnormal because everyone around me was straight. Came out when I was 19, and my mom came to see me in England. I was studying there, and she said, "Are you gay?" She said, "Are you gay?" I said, "No, I'm bisexual," because I felt that was
Much better.
Much better. I said, "I'm bisexual." I felt that was much better for her, right? And but over the years, I told her that I was gay, and but now she's happy. I adopted a gay Punjabi Sikh boy from India, and now she feels like I never thought I would be a grandmother, but now I'm a grandmother. So you never know what's going to happen, right? Wow. And
were you worried the first time that your mother won't accept you as being gay?
Well, every gay child is afraid of rejection from people they love. They're afraid of being rejected and alienated and isolated, and the best thing that anyone can do is be a friend and be that support, because you might be their lifeline. You might be that person who saves that person's life from suicide. And a lot of young people, a lot of brown people are so at risk and so vulnerable and so suicidal. I get these phone calls, these emails, these messages all the time. And yes, things are improving, but sometimes the pressure is so bad that they stay closeted and they end up getting married, and then they put their wife at risk of HIV and STDs because they're having affairs with men. And so now basically homophobia has become not only a social issue but a health issue. And
and it shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be. And you're basically ruining the woman's life. She's being deprived of a loving husband. And is that fair for the woman? And is it fair for the man who's forced to be these kind of situations? Exactly. So it's important for people to feel good about their self-identity and their sexuality and their gender identity, and come out and live the life they're meant to live. Like, why are we trying to impress everyone else? Life is short. Enjoy your life and get out there and be how the Creator wants you to be. You only have one shot at it.
We'll be back next week for the conclusion of our interview with Alex.
So how was that transition for your son, coming all the way from India?
Well, when he called me, when he messaged SHER Vancouver, he messaged 15 different organizations, and SHER Vancouver was the only one that met with him. His cousin brother beat him up. He ended up in the hospital and had a blood clot in his brain. My friend said to me at the time in SHER Vancouver, he said, "You know what? If SHER Vancouver can't help him, what is the purpose of your group?"